BlackRock's biggest rival just revealed their top pick for their Bitcoin mining stocks, guys. And we're going to be covering the Bitcoin mining stock that they talked about and they really like today in this video. So we're going to get straight into it. AB Bernstein just dropped this report on Bitcoin miners. And if you don't know who AB and Bernstein is, they are a large asset management company. They're not BlackRock's biggest rival, but they are a rival. You know, they're another asset manager. They have almost $1 trillion of assets under management. And as you can see, they dropped this. Now, for full disclosure, I do have a bag of Riot, and that's going to be the stock we're going to be talking about today. But let's take a look at this headline. Bitcoin miners initiation, scale-driven consolidation as Bitcoin commences a new cycle. So today we're going to be talking about the Riot blockchain stock. It's right here, and it is currently sitting around $10, and its ticker is Riot. So it's a Bitcoin mining stock. That is their main thing. They mine a fuck ton of Bitcoin. So let's take a look at this. Right here, they say, we're going to cover the whole thing. We are initiating coverage on U.S. Bitcoin miners with an outperforming rating on Riot. PT $15.06, 64% upside. You may not like Bitcoin as much as we do, but a dispassionate view of Bitcoin as a commodity suggests a turn of the cycle. The reality is you can hate Bitcoin, but the number is going to go up, and people are going to continue to adopt it even more. A good idea is only as good as its timing. SEC approved ETFs by world top asset managers, BlackRock, Fidelity seem imminent. Yeah, when those ETFs get approved, we're going to the moon. Anyways, the Bitcoin halving rewards happen every 4 years is due April 24th. A winning Bitcoin miner, Riot, is a high beta way to gain exposure. So the best part about these Bitcoin mining stocks is obviously when Bitcoin goes up, these miners are beta to Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin goes up a little bit, these miners are going to fly. Now, currently the stock market's like getting absolutely torched right now, so they're not exactly flying. But if you look at the price, we're going to do a deep dive in that later in this video, but they're high beta to Bitcoin, which is really, really nice. And a lot of these companies, you know, they don't exactly, some of them don't want to own Bitcoin for whatever reason. They don't want to own straight real Bitcoin. So they'd rather just have exposure to a company that owns a ton of Bitcoin and is mining Bitcoin, aka something like Riot. Anyways, as they say down here, Bitcoin miners are evolving from an unorganized mining to an industrial scale enterprise mining model, with North America gaining share over China. We prefer Riot as market share consolidators with strong operational edge, low cost of production, which we're going to talk about later, and high liquidity and unlevered balance sheets. One of the biggest problems with a lot of these miners, which Riot does not have this problem, is that they have they're so freaking leveraged. They are so leveraged. And as it says down here, Marathon, which is, you know, one of the largest miner, they have the most miners, but the second most liquid stock, has subcar POS, middle of the cost curve, and no operational edge. We're going to talk about kind of what's going on with Marathon and the difference, because not all miners are equal. So now let's take a look at this right here. So as you can see, Riot is their top pick. You can see followed by CleanSpark. And they made this little nice graphic. It says outperform right here. Riot, best in class miner. Then it says quality, largest miner, low cost, long-term power agreement with Texas Grid, capacity, growth, 3 times visibility, high liquidity, zero debt. Great. They have a good balance sheet. We're going to go over it later. And the risk is it's, you know, concentrated in Texas. So, which is fucking awesome. Anyways, now let's talk about the price. So right now, Riot's sitting around $10. Back in early of 2023, it was, you know, sitting around $3. And if you follow me on Twitter, you know I've been banging the drums on Riot for over a year now. I was banging the drums on Riot at the Pico bottom, and now it's sitting around $10. Bitcoin, as we know, has been flying. And you're probably like, okay, why hasn't Riot been flying? Well, the stock market does play a role into Riot's performance, and the stock market, if you haven't checked it, it's down bad right now. But when the stock market goes up and Bitcoin goes up as well, this thing flies. It goes bananas. So once we've seen a turn in the stock market, I'm thinking things are going to get pretty freaking bullish. But anyways, let's go over some more data. So now let's take a look at the positioning of listed miners in terms of Bitcoin treasury. So as I said, not all Bitcoin miners are created equal. Some have like no cash to withstand the bear market. One of the best parts about Riot is that they actually have a ton of cash. We're going to talk about that later. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin held versus cost of production. As you can see, BTC held 8,000. So they hold a lot of Bitcoin, a ton. Cost of production per Bitcoin, very low. They are in the perfect range. They have a lot of Bitcoin and they have low production costs. That's exactly where you want to be. Mara, the second biggest stock, second most liquid, they have a lot of Bitcoin, but they have high, cost production. Same with Hut 8 over here. They're kind of in a similar situation. And that's why I like Riot the most. I think they're very well positioned. Now let's take a look at their website. You got to check the website. As you can see, Bitcoin mining for America, blah, 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 current hash rate capacity. They're doing 10.7 exahashes per hour. They have 95,000 miners deployed, and they are working on new sites too. They're working on expanding their sites. Pretty cool stuff, as you can see. But yeah, we're going to be talking about most of the stock today. We're not going to be going, but how much they mine and stuff is very important though. As you can see, let's go to their mining operations. So let's just take a look what they're actually doing. So here are their mining operations. Let's go to Rockdale. Take a look at this. They are North America's largest Bitcoin mining facility. Take a look at this. This is real business right here. Pretty nuts. And then we'll take a look at their other site. It's over there, I guess. I guess they're going to be building there. Really cool stuff, though. Now let's take a look at who's investing. So, first of all, let me go here. Who are the top institutional holders of Riot? Oh, you can see Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Morgan Stanley. BlackRock has their hands in this. Now, BlackRock does throw money into every company in the S&P 500, but it's still bullish, and I do think we know Larry Fink is a Bitcoin bull. We know that. He's applied for a spot Bitcoin ETF. He shills crypto on NBC all the time. So, I'm thinking he's probably going to increase his exposure to Riot at some point. That's just my prediction. Obviously, it may or may not happen, but I'm thinking he's probably going to do that. In Vanguard, back in July of 12th, Vanguard now owns 10% of Bitcoin miners' Riot platforms, and they increase. Vanguard is the second largest asset manager under BlackRock. They increase their exposure. Now, some people might say, oh, that's so bad. Oh, BlackRock's invested all. Guys, the institutional money coming into this stock is what pumps it. That's what keeps the stock very liquid. These guys on Wall Street, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, they basically have unlimited money. So if they're invested in this thing and they have an interest in it, then it's going to be a very liquid stock and it's going to keep it alive. Okay, does that make sense? So the harsh reality of the situation is I'm not trying to suck off Larry Fink and BlackRock, but the truth is that they pump the bags. That's it. They have the money. So, and they're liking Riot blockchain, so that's very good. And also, once again, when the spot Bitcoin ETFs get approved, a lot of people are going to say, hey, I like the spot Bitcoin ETF, but how can I get more exposure? Companies are suddenly, it's going to basically, when the spot Bitcoin ETF gets approved, it's going to give the green light to all the institutions. And if they want some more exposure, maybe they want some more beta on Bitcoin, they're going to look to Riot. They're going to look to other Bitcoin mining stocks, blah, blah, blah. Mostly just Riot, though, probably. Anyways, let's take a look at Riot. So, as you can see right here, we're going to go over their revenue. So this is their revenue right here. As you can see, they're doing pretty good. Here's their change revenue. I'm not going to, list out every single thing, but you can pause it and look at it yourself if you want to. So we're going to go to the earnings. Let's take a look at the earnings. Of course, in 2022, they did crazy money. Their price history, as you can see, back in 2017, it almost touched $30, and then in 2021, it almost touched $53. But TradingView says something else. So on TradingView, it says it almost touched 50 in 2017 and almost touched 80 in 2021. My personal prediction is that it can do a 10x from here. I think it could hit $100, and depending on everything that happens in the macro, maybe it touches like 120. It could. May or may not happen. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Price predictions are kind of a meme, but I think it will. I think from this point right here, I think 10x in the bag. I think it's going to go to $90, $100 for sure. But once again, not financial advice. Anyways, let's keep going. Now let's take a look at their cash on hand. This is one thing that separates them from literally, oh my God, all the other miners is they have a lot on top of a lot of other things. But one of the biggest things is they have cash on hand. So why does it matter that they have a lot of cash? As you can see, they have $0.43 billion of cash. Why does this matter? Well, when there's turbulence in the market, which we know there is turbulence in this market, Bitcoin's kind of in the early stages of a bull market. But with the halving coming up, that's deeply going to affect a lot of the Bitcoin miners. And some of them are probably going to get kicked out of the space. They're either going to get acquired, or they're just going to have to pivot from Bitcoin mining, or they're going to have to shut down their facilities and get wrecked. But this cash allows them to have runway. You need cash in order to keep the business going. Unfortunately, you can't really pay your rent in Bitcoin yet. You can't go to McDonald's and buy a burger with Bitcoin yet. So you need cash and for overhead costs, etc. And let's take a look at their net assets. As you can see, their net assets, $1.24 billion. They have a ton of Bitcoin, and they have cash, and they have good operations and low costs. So really good stuff coming out here. And I want to point out, like, let's take a look at some of these other. Let's go to HUD 8. And by the way, I have a bag of HUD 8, so I'm basically funding my own bags at this point, but fuck it. I have a way bigger bag of Riot. Right now, I have a really big bag. Well, I don't know, really, whatever you want to say. But I have a bag of Riot, and then I have a bag of HUT. My bag of Riot is a lot bigger than my bag of HUT, but I do have a bag of HUT. Probably should have just bought Riot, honestly, but, you know, we'll see. One of the problems with HUT, besides the fact that, you know, if you take a look right here, they have high cost of production, which is not good, meaning after the halving, there could be some turbulence. Not saying there will, not saying they couldn't, but there might be, you know, there's a possibility HUD 8 might have to just, they still have their Bitcoin mining, their Bitcoin, which they'd probably have to sell off, but there's a possibility they could, you know, pivot away from Bitcoin mining. We'll see what happens. But if you take a look at HUD 8, you take a look at the cash on hand, bruh, $20 million. That is garbage. The good thing is that they do, if we go to their net assets, they do have $0.35 billion worth of assets, meaning that they can sell off Bitcoin. But once again, their operations are very expensive. So we're going to see what happens with HUD 8. There is, once again, the possibility, depending on the price of Bitcoin, this all really comes down to the price of Bitcoin and how good it does. You know, if the price of Bitcoin reaches a certain point, then all the miners will be safe. And if it doesn't reach a certain point, then some of them might get knocked off and some of them are going to make it. But I believe my, you know, outlook for the mining industry is, it's kind of like a lot of what happened in a lot of these tech sectors. It's like at the beginning, there's a ton of companies, and then eventually there's a couple big winners, and the rest of them end up getting acquired. So I think Riot's going to be one of those guys who's just going to end up acquiring a bunch of the smaller ones. And that's, you know, last thing we're going to do is go over their Twitter. Take a look at their Twitter. They have 37.2K followers. They're popular. They are the most popular Bitcoin miner, and that matters. As you can see here, they're putting in work. As you can see right here, October 4th, Riot produced 362 Bitcoin in September 2023 while continuing to execute power strategy. And yeah, my final thoughts for Riot Platform is, you know, once again, we go back to this. It's, you know, they have low cost of production. They have lots of Bitcoin. They have lots of cash on hand. They're the most popular miner. They got BlackRock in the game. They're the most liquid miner. They have, you know, Wall Street's in bed with them. Also, the price performance is good. You know, it's done. If you take a look at where it was in January of this year, it was hanging around $3. So it's done basically a 3x since then. The price performance is good. And of course, Bitcoin. Bitcoin ain't going nowhere. The US government's in bed with Bitcoin, so we don't really have to worry about that whole thing. But yeah, guys, that's all we got for this video. I hope you liked it. I really like Riot Platforms. I think it's going to do big things. But once again, make sure to go do your own research and everything. And yeah, let me know what you think. Before we end the video, make sure to go follow me on Twitter. Link in the description. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe. Leave a like. Leave a comment. Thank you for watching.